Five, four, three, two, one. Here we go. Welcome to the Catalyst Podcast. This is Jason, and welcome to episode 3. Now, you can find Catalyst at Facebook on Catalyst Motivation, YouTube at Catalyst Motivation 561, and Instagram at Catalyst Motivation 561. A catalyst has the power to create change, and we hope that that's what this podcast will do. We're going to talk about the turning points, the catalyst, the journey, the lesson, and beyond. Welcome to episode 3. Wow. So last episode, we started the process about how I got here, the journey. We ended up in September where I was having some issues with laying down and coughing. We were going through marriage counseling, and in October, I was really getting into it, because I was starting to put things in process. They gave us this book, I think what's called the Love Dare or something like that, and I was into it, and I was bringing home flowers and trying to be more involved and engaged, and it just seemed like it wasn't being reciprocated. And towards the middle of October, she stopped going to counseling. And I was going by myself. The church said it was, not a good idea for me to go there. I was still trying to fight for it, but it's for couples. And since I wasn't a couple, I couldn't be in it. Even though the group wanted to keep me and try and talk to her, it wasn't something that they were able to do. But the husband, who was one of the husband and wife team, the facilitators, the husband was doing another group. He had a men's group. He goes, "Why don't you come to this men's group? So we can, see what we can do to continue to help you." And excuse me. Remember, it's raw, real, unedited, uncut, farts, beeps, burps, and all that kind of stuff. So I went, and this group was a men's group, and it was a men's group that dealt with sex addiction. He didn't say anything. He just had me come, and I went, and I'm paying attention to stuff, and then I'm listening to some of the things the guys are saying, and I'm like, this isn't me. Why would he have me come here? Why would he have me, talk and discuss and just be in this environment? It didn't seem like it made sense to me, but in a way, it was probably one of the greatest gifts I ever got, because I just dove in head first. It was my sanctuary. It was my safe space. It was a way for me to share. And it was a way for me to discover some of the things that really were holding me back. That men's group was a gift. And especially what transitions later on, even though I wasn't able to be there physically, they were there for me. And I'll never forget that. I'll always appreciate that group. We started doing this book called The 7 Pillars, and that's really when things started to kind of open up for me even more. There's a lot of repressed stuff that I had that I wasn't dealing with, wasn't paying attention. I was angry, I was bitter, I was frustrated, I was jealous, I was raging. I wasn't a good man, I wasn't a good husband, I wasn't a good father, I wasn't a good friend, I wasn't a good anything. And it just frustrated me to no end. And when I was able to just hear what other men are going through, we're for the past couple of decades, we as men have been made into a caricature. The Homer Simpson, the Peter Griffin, the Al Bundys. We're flighty, we're aloof, we're dumb, we're all these things. And we're not. We're not that at all. We're sensitive. We care. We want to be loved. We want to be appreciated. We want to be respected. We want to be and do the things that we need to do. And in a world that is so anti-male, it's a challenge to be in that room with those men, and was humbling, and really helped me to open up and dig deep to find out some of the things that were issues in my life. So we ended our counseling as a couple, and I discovered this men's group counseling. And in the end of October 31st, Halloween, our son was out with friends, and it was her and I alone, and it was trick-or-treat time, and I got the trick, because that was the day she decided to ask for a divorce. And the floor literally fell out from underneath me. There's a few times in my life where I've really been emotional. One of the bigger ones was when my grandmother died, who pretty much raised me. When my grandfather died, because we never were able to talk about the things we need to talk about. And, the life is short and precious, and when we don't take the time to have those moments, it's something that stays with you. So when she told me this, my body went numb, and I just remember just that whole entire night, I was just the facilitator of the men's group gave me this movie to watch, and I hadn't watched it yet. And when that happened and she went to bed, I watched that movie, and it was a movie about having a conversation with God, and some of the people who helped him along the way in his discovery of meeting God and talking with him. And it really hit home for me. And I remember every single piece of what transpired on that day. I just remember Gabriel coming home, and here I am. I'm a mess. I'm a mess, but I respect her because she had the courage to do what I couldn't do and what should have been done years earlier. And the reason why it wasn't done years earlier is because I'm a child of the divorce, and I didn't want that for my son. And here it was happening. It was history repeating itself. Here is I was 9 when it happened to me. He was 11 or 12, and I didn't want that to happen to him. I didn't want him to go through that pain. But you know what? When you stay in something and then your kids see you staying in a broken relationship, they think that's what you need to do. So listen, we both did wrong things, but I have so much respect for her for being brave enough to do that because I wasn't able to. So October 31st, 2018 is not a great day for me. But it's an important day. And, again, at that point, I wish I did have the strength and courage to do it, because even though I've been a loner, I have been alone, but I've never really been alone. And, wasn't really great with dealing with failure. I was good at failing, but I wasn't really great with dealing with it. And it was fear. I would rather be stuck in the pain of a broken marriage than not be in that marriage and not know what to do. And I think a lot of people are like that. There's a lot of people out there that are like that. So as that happened, we go into December and I start passing out. Like, I'll sit up real quick and pass out. My weight exploded. I was almost, I think I was at 289 at that point. I'm 6'2", 289. Everything was becoming a challenge. One of the things I was fearful of was driving and passing out, which almost happened to me a few times. Again, being a stubborn man, you know what? I'm just going to figure it out. I'm going to work through it. The coughing was getting worse. It was happening a lot. I started noticing things like my shoulders, where my traps are. There's nodes there, which I came to find out. And it looked like all I was doing was trap work. But you can tell I wasn't physically working out. Trying to lay down and sleep was really, really tough. Through January and February and March. Well, in January, let's go back, because in January, we were supposed to get our divorce or start the divorce process. Come to find out that basically all she wanted was to have a mediator sit with us, and she had demands, and I had to meet them. She didn't have to change anything, but I had to do all this changing. And if I didn't do all this changing, then we were going to divorce. And so I was like, okay, we're doing it. And before we were supposed to meet this person, in January, she was like, well, so you're just going to not even try to work it out. And I was, well, you made it very, very clear this is what you want. And you're right on a lot of these points you bring up. It's not fixable. So why even go through it? And she was like, well, I want to work it out. I go, well, you know what we could have done? We could have saved ourselves the $200 and just talk to each other or stay in that church group we were, but you decided not to do that. And there we go. We're still in this relationship at this time. We'll continue on this in episode 4. But right now, this is the Catalyst Podcast. My name is Jason. Again, you can find us at Catalyst Motivation on Facebook, on YouTube at Catalyst Motivation 561, and on Instagram, you go to Catalyst Motivation 561. Catalyst has the power to create change, and we hope that this podcast will do that. So this is Jason thanking you. Go be great.